Perfect. So today we have a lot of material to cover because from now on, I will show you in a bit actually in the schedule. We're basically going to speed run through the rest of the units that we have left, which is basically units 8 all the way through 14. And also, we're not just going to go through all the units. We're not just going to go through 7 units that quickly, but we're also going to be covering iOS material as we've been doing before. So today we're also going to touch upon MapKit, so you guys can learn how to implement maps into your own application. Because I heard some ideas about building your own a bathroom reviewer, which is kind of cool. You should add that into App Idea, where users can add the bathrooms that they visited around campus, and they can add reviews on it. That'll be pretty funny. It's a cool app idea though. I liked it. I mean, go ahead. But we're going to show you how to incorporate something like that using maps. But before we get onto that, let's go ahead and go through the slides that we need to. So we're going to go through about I put up all the slides into one, so there's 4 slides here. But I'm going to go through them as quickly as possible so we can get into the fun part. So first, we're going to kick off with Unit 7 and Unit 8. I didn't add that there. But this week, we're going to be getting ready in building your own and designing your application so that it'll be ready so that you guys can start working on it this week and work on it up until week 10. You guys will be presenting on Friday, the last week of school, which is week 10 Friday. I think it's March 23rd. It was one of those days. I forgot the exact date, but it's week 10 Friday. Do you guys have midterms on that week? Week 10 Friday? No one? Only one person. Okay. So, and you told me it's at 3 p.m., right? 3 p.m.? Okay. Okay, perfect. So I plan to have demo day on Friday, week 10, from 5 to about 7 p.m. And I want you guys to work on the best app that you can ever make throughout these last 3 weeks of school, because I plan to bring actual engineers from Slack, Lyft, Facebook, Google maybe. We're still figuring out who's going to be attending, but so far we have interested engineers from Facebook and Slack who are planning to attend our session. So I'm going to be recording through a Google Live Hangout, and they're going to join us. And after they see all the presentations and all the applications that were demoed in demo day, they're going to pick the engineers along with our CodePath staff, the best applications, the best projects, and those are going to be the students that go to present all the way in the headquarters. It should be in either Facebook, it could be in Slack headquarters, or Facebook headquarters, or Lyft headquarters, or even the CodePath headquarters, since we just acquired a new building. So it will be in one of those places, and as well as the engineers that will be seeing your demo, they get to choose if they want to pick you as a candidate to work at their company. So if they want to interview you or even give you an offer immediately, they will have the option to do so. So I want you guys to really work hard on your project because it does count towards even a possible career for this summer. So along with that, let's go with the agenda. So I'm going to go over the units that we're going to go through and explain what we're going to do each week. All right, so this is where we've been so far, right? We finished all the units, and now we're going to implement everything that we've learned into the last units. The only difference is that we're going to go through these units, and we're going to go to 2 by 2s. So this unit we're going to cover units 7 and 8, next week 9 and 10, and then the last weeks we're going to go through just tackle all these units all at once. So that's the main difference that we're going to be doing. So you guys have way less time than semester students. So feel accomplished that you guys will be able to build an app as way quicker than a semester student will be able to do so. So I know you guys already shipped your app so far for Flix and also for Twitter and also the Parsogram, which is the last project that you guys were working on last week. So good job on that. You have successfully built 3 full stack applications. And now I already showed you what we're going to be doing. So we're going to cut this into this week, and then next week it's going to be next week, and the last week, week 10, it's going to be just working on your apps. And hopefully you guys will be able to start working on it this week as well, so you guys can have more time to work on it. And now There's a video by the CodePath founder. I'll share the slides with you guys. It's kind of long. It's like 10 minutes, but I'll just show like the first minute so you guys can see his path when he started doing apps long ago. I'll just show like the first minute so we can go through, cover the basics, and show you his experiences in web dev. iOS dev. Can you guys hear that? Anything? Dang it.
iOS app about 10 years ago. And that year I built 4 apps, and one of them we grew to about 1 million users before we sold it 4 years later. Since then, we've trained thousands of engineers on how to build mobile apps, and they've built companies. We had a team pitch on Shark Tank. They got funded by Mark Cuban, and many of them have become mobile engineers in companies all across the United States. So I have a challenge for you for the rest of this class, which is to build an app that has 5 regular users. Now let me tell you, if you can get 5 regular users, the probability that you'll get 50 regular users is really high. And if you can get 50 regular users, the probability that you get 1,000 regular users is really high. The reason for that is if you can get 5 people to use your app, you're solving their problem. And if you're solving their problem, I guarantee you that there's 1,000 people out there that have the exact same problem. Something else is going to happen. When you have people actually using your app, they're going to report bugs to you, they're going to ask for new features, and you're going to write more code to fix those bugs and add those features. And then as you get more users, there's going to be more feature requests, there's going to be more bugs, and you're going to keep on writing code. Slowly but surely, over time, you're going to write a ton of code.
All right, so he went the basics of what's going to happen over the next few weeks. So I know most of you guys will like to deploy your app if it comes up to be a really good app. And luckily, I know how to deploy apps to the App Store, so I will show you week 10 for the last lecture where I'm going to show you how to deploy your app into the App Store, how to create an account, and if you have money, how to pay for it on the spot. And I will show you how to download all the certificates, sign a bunch of paperwork, and ship your app to the App Store and have your name up there so you can show it off to resume recruiters or even engineers that are interviewing you. So he just talked about what's going to happen after you do all that, right? And, oh, come on. There you go. So why are you guys going to be working in project? Like, why can't we just work on it alone? Well, because when you work together, you're going to differentiate yourself and you're going to get experience with real-world development practices. In the real-world job, you're going to be working with teams. I guarantee you that. I've already gone through some of that stuff. And also, you get to have a glance of what entrepreneurship looks like. When you want to start your own company, you're going to need something. You're going to need a platform to build and showcase your product. Nowadays, everything is tech. So if you plan to start your own company, you're most likely going to have to build something. And now with iOS under your belt, you can build that easily. And before we get into the group projects that you guys will be working on, I want you guys to fill out the mid-course survey because it is really important that you guys let me know how I've been doing, because if I'm doing bad, I won't be able to teach next quarter, but I want to teach next quarter. So you guys can find that on the email that I sent last week, or you guys can also find that on the courses on Unit 7. You can find it right here on Unit 7 on the overview. Please fill that out because I need at least 85% of all the students to have completed that, and that way it'll let my administrators know how I've been doing as an instructor. And I plan to teach next quarter and have also more students come along with me to teach next quarter. So if you guys are interested, meet me after class. I will have a meeting tomorrow for those who are interested in becoming a TPM so that they can teach iOS for next quarter and also possibly for fall quarter of next year. I will keep this on running and I'll guide you guys well. I've already done the hard work, which is build the class material. So you guys literally just have to go through the steps on how to finish the projects. You guys know how I send you the starter projects, right? Same thing. I've already done the hard work for you. You don't have to do your own starter projects. So I've already done most of it. All you have to do is go through it and know exactly how you're going to teach it with your students. So if you guys are interested, let me know after class. If not, tomorrow you can come on our Tuesday sessions and I'll be hosting a meeting in where I will be talking about the specific details of it. So everybody good on the mid-course survey? Yep. Awesome. Come on in, guys. Make sure you guys fill in the mid-course survey when you right here on Unit 7, okay? So please fill that out. I will remind you again after this presentation. Anyhow, let's go back. All right, so once you guys do that, what's going to happen the next following weeks is that you're going to be submitting your project proposals through a GitHub README file. So in here, there's no more assignments. There's not going to be any more assignments that you have to turn in. However, there will be a way in which I can verify the progress you've made in your apps. So in order to verify that, you will be updating a GitHub, which I will show you how to do that. And I know who is like the one, which group you're on, because I made you guys do this, the project submissions, the group project formations, and I will know who's the one like responsible for it. But make sure you guys add yourselves as collaborators so that I know that you guys are working on the same project. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Demo Day. I know I mentioned it to you, but basically the top students projects that are demoed in our campus here will be selected to go to Demo Day, which takes place usually during the summer. And you will get to travel all the way to San Francisco in one of the headquarters of Facebook, Slack, Lyft, or CodePath. And you will present your app ideas in front of a ton of engineers. I'm not even kidding. It's a lot of people there. And you will have the opportunity to get scholarships, to get interviews, or even a job offer in case you're graduating like the next year upcoming. So if you guys are looking for careers, then this is the way to go. Make sure you polish that application that you'll be working on during the next 3 weeks. Or if you want to continue working on it afterwards, go for it. There's no limit to how much work you can put into your application. So again, we still have the discussion. I know that you might think that the discussion system is just for the current homework that we've been doing. No, we'll also be providing help for your own app ideas. You just got to be specific with what you're working on. Saying like, oh, I'm working with my app. I'm having trouble with implementing the table view because I'm getting this error. We'll be there to help you out. And if not, come to my office hours. I'm always there. I've been helping out as many students as possible, and I'll be helping you even more, hopefully. So this is going to be regarding your grade. If you guys want to check your grade, this is basically what your grade consists mostly of. And if you want to see what you have on your assignments in terms of your grade, you can check with me after class and I can show you what you have. And later on, 50% of your other grade is going to be based on your group project milestones. So every week you're going to submit a milestone showing me what you've done so far for your app idea. And there is you're going to be submitting twice the amount of work since we're cutting all the units. Basically, we're going to go through 2 units each week. All right? I will show you which units you will need to cover through. So project recap. Don't read this. I'm just going to skip through it because I already showed you. It's 1 week of this week. You're going to start designing and building your app, same as next week, as well as last week. And who doesn't here have a? So that's pretty much we're done with this. I already made you guys go through all this. So who doesn't here have a team? Who doesn't have a group? Everyone has a group? You don't have a group?
You mean you haven't filled out the
Yeah. Who hasn't filled a group formation survey? Have you filled it out? Okay. Everyone has filled it out? Because after tomorrow, I will be locking the groups. So whoever you're stuck with them. If you don't fill out the group formation survey, you're going to be placed with a random group member. And if you don't know them, that's going to be stressful. Yeah?
Can we check?
You can come to me and make sure that you verify that you submitted the group formations. How can you check? You come to me, but if you submitted the group formation, which is under session 2 in unit 7, if you submitted this, then you're good. But other than that, you can come to me and make sure that if you want to verify that you actually did submit it, then you can come to me and I'll check the groups. So far, for example, right now I have these are the groups that I have. So I have Josh, David, and Justin in one group. I have Derek, Hermaine, and Richard in another group. And these are the other groups. So I know Israel hasn't done it yet. I know David Bowie hasn't done it yet. Bruce. So basically the ones highlighted in light blue are the people who haven't done it. So if you guys see your names in light blue, that means that you haven't completed the group formation survey. And I would like you guys to complete it as soon as possible.
If we see someone we don't know on the group, how do we get in contact?
How do you get in contact with them?
I don't know who
Yeah. Oh, Chen.
No, I don't know.
Oh, Huanja. Oh, don't worry. They were. I made an exception for some students because I have a team of 7 students. But since I have to keep them in like groups of 3, I had to put them in one team. So you're good.
So it's just me.
Yeah, you and whoever you want it to be with. So you're fine. If you see another person and you know for sure that if it's like dark blue, don't worry about them. I made some exceptions for some students because I know there's a big teams, like more than 3 students. So I made exceptions for those students, but they still have to be like locked in that group. And I've already talked to the admins, so don't worry about that. Now, I'm going to lock these groups later on so that you can't modify them anymore. And after that, if you haven't done it, please do so. And regarding this week, this is what you will be working on. So this week you will be working with Unit 7 and Unit 8, okay? So you notice that for Unit 7 there's not really much. All you have to do for Unit 7 is complete the mid-course survey and have your group submitted, okay? And for Unit 8, which is also due this week, I want you guys to complete your app idea and product specifications. So in other words, if you go to session 1, this is a tool that you can use to help start your README file. You can use this template, copy and paste it, and share it through a HackMD document. Or if you guys want to use GitHub, you can use that as well. But I like HackMD because you can modify in real time. It's like Google Docs, but for like code. So if you want to share this with your team, just copy and paste this. And I'm going to open up a incognito. And there you go. Now there's 2 people modifying the same document. So for example, this is memo. You can see right here, this is memo, right? And I can see it over here as well. So that's the purpose of this link that I just showed you, the HackMD document. You can use that to share it with your teammates and work on it collaboratively, like if it was a Google Doc. And you can see how it's being modified on this window, on the right side of the window. So it's a pretty nifty tool for you guys to use. And make sure that you guys cover these things on your README. So I want you guys first, I know it doesn't show here because they're still updating it, but please also include who's on your team because I know I made some exceptions to some teams. So write down also, aside from these, write down who's your team, all right? The names of the people that are on your team so that we know specifically who's working with who. And after you finish doing this on your GitHub, push it. You push it, and then once you finish with that, you submit it on the overview. For some reason, it's not working on the session 1 or session 2, so make sure you submit it here on this button right here. Okay? Everyone clear on the milestone for this week? Question?
We just don't have access to the
Oh, really? Okay. Thank you for telling me that. I'll notify the admins about that. But any other questions or something that you guys have about this? No? Okay. Perfect. So this is what it's going to be on your homework. I will notify the admins to open this up for you guys so that it can open up. And I'll send an email when it's available. But for now, this is going to be your homework. So, okay? So it's just a GitHub showing what your user stories, what your app does, or what your app intend to do, and your team members, okay? All right, so let's start opening up your Xcode, and we're going to get coding with map views. All right. So I sent you guys through the email, the map starter. I will show you guys how to implement. Let me run the app so I can show you what it will do. And when you open it, it should contain this. This should be like the first page that you see on your project. So this is what we'll be working on today. It's called PhotoMap, and it's a simple app that lets you add pins in the map for a place that you searched up online. So the app always starts at the beginning of San Francisco. This is the default location. And what is that? Huh. Alright, anyhow. We added the button that will allow you to add pins. That's kind of scary. Anyhow, I think everyone's fine. Once you click on the camera button, it should allow you to pick a picture. And once you add it, it'll ask you, where did you take this picture? So let's say that I took this at Pier 39 in San Francisco. It'll add a pin at the map where you selected it. So if I go and zoom in into it, how the hell do you zoom in? Oh, there you go. So it added my pin, and in the information, it has the picture that I added and the coordinates of where that place is located. So simple, right? So let's try to implement all of this into our app. So if you guys have opened up your map view, we're going to start off. I have already commented on some of the things that we will be doing. So let's get started with the first step. So we need to create a map view outlet. So everyone follow with me, and let's go ahead into our object library and add a map view. All right. So let it load for a bit. The beach ball of death. Cool, there you go. I'm going to go ahead and drop it into this screen where it's named Photo Map View Controller. Once I add it, let's add some constraints to it. And I'm going to give it 0 because I want it to fill the whole screen just as we saw in our previous run. Perfect, that looks clean. And after you add that, let's go ahead and add the button for the camera. So I went to the objects library, I typed in the button. I'm going to go ahead and drag that at the bottom center. Perfect. And if you open up the attributes inspector, you guys noticed that it was like an actual camera logo. So we're going to change this button to the actual camera logo. And to do that, you go into the attributes inspector, and you will see here a text field that says image. This is where you type in the camera. Boom, ended there. You added the button logo. Make sure to just get rid of this text. There we go. So now we have a button, but in the shape of a camera. That's pretty cool. And we're going to add constraints to this so that it's always at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to add 24 from the, oops, not the top. 24 on the bottom and 16 from left and right. There you go. So let's go ahead and add these constraints so that it's always at the bottom. 24 spaces away up and 16 spaces away from the sides. Boom. There you go. So now our button covers this whole area right here. So now that we finished this, let's go ahead and connect our button and our map view into our view controller. So I'm going to open up my photo map view controller file, and I'm going to drag and drop my outlet for the map view. And I'll put it underneath the comment that I created. and let's just call it map view. And I'm also going to add the button under this comment, the instantiate UI image picker after camera button tapped. Go ahead, drop that into this comment, and I will just call it camera tapped. Cool. So now we have our map view attached to it. But if we try running this, let's see what's going to happen to our phone if there's nothing on it. If the map is empty, like we didn't set up any coordinates or any initial location. Let's see what happens when we run that. So as you can see, it automatically just sets it in the United States. But we have something working, right? We got something now. At least this works. We can go ahead, drag that. And if you want to zoom in, just hold the Alt Option key, and you see these two buttons right here, right? While you hold it, you can click it, and it'll zoom in or zoom out. So it's basically the Alt button creates like a second finger on your screen, a virtual finger. Cool. So I don't want that. I don't want it to show the United States. I want it to show San Francisco as my default location. So let's go ahead and create a function that does that for us. So I'm going to create a func called set initial location. And I'm going to create the coordinates for it. So the center is going to be located in CL location, oops. It's going to be location coordinate 2D. Go ahead and click on that. And you're going to add the coordinates, the latitude and longitude. So you literally just type the variables that like are part of the map. So for the latitude, let's make it 37.783333. And the longitude, negative 122.416667. That's the devil's number, 666. Anyhow, these are the coordinates for San Francisco right here. This is how, if you looked up on Google Maps and type these coordinates, it'll show you San Francisco. And now we're going to create the map span. So this refers to how wide do we want it to be zoomed in on San Francisco. And to do that, we're going to call the MK coordinate span. Latitude delta is going to be 0.1. And the longitude delta also 0.1. So what do these numbers mean? So basically, it's how much degrees apart. 1 degree is about 69 miles. So if you put this to 1, it'll zoom out from San Francisco to show you 69 miles around the area, which is pretty big. But no, we just wanted 0.1, which is going to be about 6 miles, 6.9 miles. And now we're going to set the region of our map. And to do that, you create a variable that's going to be equal a coordinate region, MK coordinate region, and this is going to have the center, right? And for that, you're going to give it the map center that we created, and then you're going to give it the span, which is the map span that we created. Now we just need to call map view and say, hey, set the map for me. So call map view dot set region. Cool. So now if we run this, oh, did I type it? Oh, it's just region, my bad. Now if we run this, let's go ahead and see what happens. This is what should show us, oh, it won't do it, my bad. So we have our function, right? But we didn't call it anywhere. So let's call it from our view.did.load. There we go. Now it's going to call set initial location right after we launch our application. So as soon as we run this, there we go. We have it placed on San Francisco, which is where we want it. Oh shoot, I forgot the attendance. So you guys got the email, right? Please go to, if you guys didn't get the email, it's bit.ly.com/codepath-unit7. Please go here as soon as possible. And for the code today, it's going to be maps. And it should work. If it doesn't work, then it's probably map, but I'm pretty sure it's maps. Oh, whatever. Were you guys able to get it? Maps? Okay. All right. Make sure you guys get this done really quick. Completely forgot about it. I didn't add it to the slide. All right, let's go back. So going back to our application, we have our maps and it sets us where we want it, San Francisco. So cool. So all right, we see San Francisco, but our app is pretty boring because it doesn't do anything, right? It just shows the map. So let's add some functionality to it. So we're going to go ahead and create the functionality to add a pin whenever we search up a place. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and call the image picker so that every time that the user taps on the camera, it'll present the user with the camera so that it can pick a picture out of it. So I've already created the functions for you because you already know how to do this. So you just call select photo on the camera tab. Perfect. And what this function is going to be doing for us is that it's going to be storing the image that the user picks, and then it's going to set it up on the map view as a pin. So now that we have our image, now we need to create a segue so that when the user taps on the camera, they select the picture and they select the place that they took that picture. So let's go ahead and create a manual segue from the view controller right here. Go ahead, drag that and drop it to this view controller, which is the add location view controller, and call it a push. Cool. All right, so now that, and make sure that you give it the identifier of this segue right here. We're going to give it a tag segue. All right, so make sure you go on the attribute inspector, you select here, and give it a tag segue. Now that you have that done, let's go ahead and override the function for the segue. So we're going to call the override func where is it? Prepare for the segue. And what we're going to be doing in this function is we're going to present the add location view controller. So let's call the locations view controller equals to segue.destination as locations view controller. There you go, locations view controller, and then we just tell our view controller to take us to that view controller. So now we do locations.viewcontroller.delegate equals self. There we go. So now it's going to push us, after we click on that camera button and we set a picture, whoops, make sure there's a lowercase l so that it doesn't get confused. There you go. Now what it's doing is that it's sending us to the locations view controller when the user taps the camera button. Don't worry about the error because it still doesn't know what the heck. We have a protocol, which I will show you what protocols do in a bit. So now that we go, so we have our, what do we have so far? So we have our map view that when the user taps the camera, it's going to take us to this location, right? But the application still doesn't know because we need to tell it to send us. Oh no, it does it. I've already done that for you guys, my bad. It performs a segue after the user taps the camera button. So after we tap the camera button, it'll take us to the add locations right here. Alright, so let's go back and now let's figure out how to retrieve the coordinates that the user selects from the place that they search up. In order to do that, let's go into the locations view controller, and here you're going to see a couple things. You're going to see a protocol. Oh, that was supposed to do something that you guys were supposed to do. But so what are protocols? Protocols are essentially rules or guidelines that your view controllers have to follow, right? So what's an example of a protocol here? A real life protocol. Well, a protocol for you guys is you guys do the homework, and then by Monday morning or around that time, I follow my protocol, which is to check the homework submitted and then grade them, right? It's a protocol that we can follow, and we don't have to directly communicate or anything. We just know. We just know that, like, that's a rule that we follow, right? You submit homework and then I check it. Same here. What we're doing is we're creating a protocol saying locations view controller delegate. And all it's doing is we created a function that sends a latitude and a longitude. So basically this is how we're letting our locations view controller and our photo map view controller communicate with each other. Same with how I communicate with you guys. You guys know that you have to submit your homework on Sundays, and I know that by Monday I should have some submissions and I should be grading those things. Same here. This is how we're communicating within two view controllers using a protocol. So that's a little introduction with protocols. They're a little bit more extensive if you guys want to do like professional iOS stuff and work with Apple or something later on. But essentially what we're doing here is we have a simple application that searches up the places in San Francisco, and all it does is that it retrieves the longitude and latitude of that place. So what do we want to do with those two numbers? We want to get that longitude and latitude and communicate that back to our photo map view controller, right? Because we're communicating basically back and forth places. So let's do that. So in order to do that, we're going to go to our locations view controller, and under the table view function, you're going to find this to do comment right here. So first we need to get the latitude and longitude of the venue. So in order to retrieve that, we're going to call delegate dot locations pick location. And for the controller, it's going to be self. Latitude, you get the lat, and longitude, you get the long. Alright, so essentially we're getting this function, did select row at. It's essentially the same as when the user taps on a cell. Alright, so that's what this function is doing. So as soon as I tap on a location, did select row at, I'm going to get the latitude and longitude of that place that I tapped on. And then I set my function, this protocol. I tell it, hey, I'm going to give you these things so you can hold on to them. And I'm going to give you the latitude and longitude of the venue that was selected by the user. So this is what the function is doing essentially. Now that we give our function or our communicator, the protocol, the latitude and longitude, now we got to return back to our photo map view controller. So let's call the navigation controller. Whoops. Dot. Make sure you put that question mark. Pop view controller. True. So essentially, what we're doing here now is we're going back into our photo view controller, but we're sending our messenger the protocol to tell the photo map, hey, we're going to give you some coordinates, and you're going to do stuff whatever you want with it, right? Now let's go back to our photo map view controller. So in order for our photo map view controller to know how to communicate between locations view controller is through the protocol. So we got to implement this protocol into our photo map view controller. So go back to your photo map view controller, and let's add the protocol to our class. So go ahead into the class and add a subclass for it, and it's going to be the locations view controller delegate, which is the name of the protocol that we created. So now it knows that we are using a protocol so that we can communicate between each other. And this is our middleman. Our middleman is the locations view controller delegate. And you can see it's giving us an error. It's the same as the table views. As soon as you click fix, it'll give you that function, right? This function is the same one that we created over here. And what this function is doing really is nothing but just holding on to these two numbers right here. It's more like a placeholder for variables that we want to pass. So what do we want to do with these two things right here? Well, we want to use this function to retrieve the coordinates and place them in our map so that the user can actually see it pop in their in their view. So let's go ahead and move this at the bottom, and we're going to add it underneath this comment here, retrieve coordinates. So this is how we're retrieving it, through the delegate. The delegate is communicating us back the latitude and longitude. And what we want to do with these coordinates is we want to add a pin, right? Remember how I showed you how as soon as I tapped location, it added a pin into my map. So in order to do that, we have to create that functionality as well for the map. Let's go ahead and create a add pin function. And for the pin, it's going to take a latitude, which is CL location degrees, and the longitude, which is also CL location degree. There you go. And what this function does is we're going to create what's called an annotation in Apple, and that's what you see on the pins. They call it annotations, and it's an object called MK point annotation. We're going to instantiate an object of an annotation, and now we can do whatever we want with that annotation. So first we're going to get the location coordinate, and we're going to create the coordinate into our map. And as always, it takes in the latitude and longitude, and we're just going to give it lat, and for the longitude you're going to give it the long, the LNG. Now that we have the coordinate of that place that was selected, now let's add to the annotation, or in other words, that little pin. So first we need to tell where that pin is going to be dropped down on the map. And to know where it's going to be dropped at, we created the location coordinate variable. So that's what now we just have to set the annotation coordinate equal to our location coordinate that we created. And now we need to give it a title. And this is where you can play around and give it whatever name you want. You can play like the coffee shop, or later on if you want to do a bonus, you can look on the API and see how to retrieve the title of that place that was selected and give it that title. But for now, we're just going to give it the coordinates of the latitude. That's going to be the title of our pin. And now we need to tell MapView to drop that pin in front of our eyes. And you just call MapView.addNotation. There you go. So it's going to give us a failure error because we still need to fill out this function. So now that we created our add pin function, you can see that our add pin function takes in the latitude and the longitude, and in here the protocol communicates back with us what those results that we want, the latitude and the longitude. So here we're just going to add the add pin. And for the lat, you're going to give it the latitude, and longitude, longitude. There. Let's try building that. Hold up. Oh. Make sure you convert these coordinates into a CL location. CL location degrees, and then you put the latitude. Same with the longitude. Make sure you convert that to a CL locations degree type. There we go. So now we're going to be creating a pin with these items right here. There you go. Alright, so let's see what we have now. Let's run this and test our app. So the user should be able to tap on the camera button and be able to select a picture. Let's say that I was at the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, and I took a picture of that bridge. Cool. Here's a picture of our bridge. It looks beautiful, beautiful waterfall. Let's go ahead and add that to Golden Gate Bridge. Here it is, Golden Gate Bridge. And if we go over here, perfect. We see our little tiny annotation or otherwise pin created using the items that we transferred from our protocol. And if we tap on it, there's nothing because we need to configure that as well. So your app has some basic functionality. We can add pins to it based on the location that we searched up online. Is anybody stuck so far on what we have or confused about what's going on? Like, how does that work? Everyone seems to be good? All right. So this seems pretty boring, right? Because it's just a pin. We wanted to show something else. So how do you customize that? Well, I'll show you how to do that right now. Map View has a functionality. Just as Table Views allows you to modify what cell each cell is going to have, same with Map View. They provide you a function that allows you to modify the pins. So you just call the func Map View, and you're going to see a lot of, let me see. Where is this? Not here? Come on. Oh. It's because now, in order to access the map view functionality, we need to also add the subclass for it, which is going to be the MK map view delegate. Now we're going to have access to all the functionalities of map view. Let's go ahead and now add the function for the map view. I'm going to call the func map view, and here you're going to see a bunch of functions, and the one that we're going to be using is the first one, the view for annotation. This function is what modifies what the pin is going to display when you tap on it. So in order to do that, we're going to create, each annotation needs its ID or like an identifier, so we're going to call a reusable ID and set that equal to my annotation. You can call it whatever you want, my annotation view. And now we're going to create we're going to add that view, or in other words, when you tap on it, it'll pop up a view, which will show some information of it. So I'm going to call it a variable annotation view. And this is a variable because remember that each annotation has its own view, right? Each annotation, when you tap on it, it's going to have different information than all the other annotations. So therefore, we're going to call it a variable rather than a let variable. And we're going to set that equal to a map view dot dequeue reusable annotation view right here. Bam. And the identifier, reusable identifier, the one that we just created. Reusable. Yeah, I don't call it that. There you go. Reusable ID. So now we have our annotation view. So now we need to specify if there's a pin on the map. So if annotation view is not equals to nil. So here we're checking if the view already has some information on it. If it doesn't have information, then we're going to make it display something for us. We're going to call the MK annotation view, MK pin annotation view, and we're going to give it the annotation that we created. And for the reuse identifier, we're going to give it the reusable identifier. So we created our view. And now we need to modify the annotation view. Can show callout equals true. This is basically saying, all right, if the user taps it, show it, like display the little view that you see when you tap on it. And then we need to give it the left callout accessory. UI image view. And we're going to give it a frame. And let's make it a CG rect. I'll explain what all of this is doing. X is 0, Y is 0. Width, let's give it a width of 50 pixels and a height of 50 pixels. Cool. So all this is doing is, if you notice the left call accessory view, when you pop up the pin, the details of it, the left accessory view is basically the left side of that view. And what we're going to give it is we're going to pass on an image, and that image is going to be the image that we selected when we tap the camera button. Now we just need to set that image to the image that we were storing. So let the image view equal to annotation view dot left call accessory view as UI image. So if you recall, we created a picked image, right? And we're just accessing right now the image of the annotation view. And now we're going to set the image view of the annotation equal to our picked image, the one that we picked from the camera. And now we return our annotation view. There we go. Make sure this is UI image view. Did I type it wrong? And the image dot image. Yeah. Oh. My bad. Thank you for catching that. There you go. Let me build this and see if we have any errors. Perfect. So now, theoretically, when we run this, what should we have? When we tap on a pin, it'll pop up a view, and on the left side, it should show us that image that we placed it, right? So let's try and see if that works. Cool. So I'm in San Francisco. Who lives in the Bay Area? Hey, all right, we got some Bay Area homies here. Have you guys been to the taqueria, La Taqueria, in SF? Yes? Oh my gosh. All right, we're going to add this flower picture to La Taqueria. All right, so let's go and search up La Taqueria. Yeah, there it is. So let's go ahead and add this, and it should drop a pin. Perfect. It added to it. Now, if we click on it, theoretically, it should, based on what we just added in the map view, we customize the view of when you tap on it. So when you tap on this, it should display the image that we picked, which was the flowers, right? So let's tap on it. Oh. I guess it didn't implement it correctly. Darn it. I must have forgotten something. Oh. It's because remember from your table views, the very basic steps when you create a table view, you have to give the view controller permission to modify the table view, right? Same with the map view. We're going to give the map view dot delegate equals self, so that we can have permission. We give our map view controller permission to modify the annotations. Let's try it again. Let's add that flower to la taqueria. Oops. Here it is. There we go. Added a little pin. Let me zoom in. Oh, no, that's the opposite. Let me tap on it. There we go. So now we've successfully configured the notation, or in other words, the pin, to show us the picture instead of the actual, like, just the coordinates. So this is a very, very basic introduction of map views. If you guys want to work more with the question. Yeah.
So you're saying that the view is an annotation view. Are you referencing that as a pairing? Is that why you can do the dot image so you can change it to the image?
Yeah. So what we're doing here essentially is we're telling our annotation view to be a UI image view. And then once we create that image view of the pin, we access the image, because initially it has nothing, right? So we need to set it to, we need to pass on an image. And that's what we're doing in our select photo functionality. When we pick a photo or an image from our library, it stores it as a variable, and now it's just there. But what we're doing here is, right after we select that image, we call our function to give it that image to the image view of the annotation. Does that make a little sense? Yeah. And all we're doing here is that if there's no image view, then create one. And we basically create it right here. We create an annotation view, right? It's the same like as the table view, right? The cell view. Just cover this out. It's literally everything falls under a view. The only difference is that it's a MK pin annotation view. But essentially, just pay attention to the last part of anything. And that way you'll be able to understand Swift way faster. And this is how I'm able to help students. I just read the last part. It's like, oh, you're modifying a view. Or here. Oh, you're modifying the left call out blah, blah, blah view. It's a view still, right? Everything falls under a view. So now I just want to know, oh, what are you doing to this view? Oh, you're setting it to an image view. Okay, so now you just need to access that image. So we create, we force it to be an image view. And after we create that image view, now we need to give it an actual image. So we access the attribute of an image view, which is the image, and we set it equal to an image that we picked before. But in Swift, everything falls under views. That's a pattern that you will see throughout your career if you stick with iOS later on. Everything is views, all right? And same with, and you'll be able to, if you want to go into like using AR, you'll notice something when you implement AR. You're going to implement an AR view. Everything falls under view. And if you want to modify what your camera is seeing during the AR view, you literally just change the view, set this, the AR something view, equal to what your camera is seeing, right? Same logic, same principles. This is why Swift is really good, because it's simple and it follows a foundation structure. Do you guys have any other questions regarding map views or how they work, how you can implement this into your prospective applications, group projects? Do any of you plan to put it on your group project, putting map views? No one? Kind of? maybe like a cool feature to add later on if you have extra time. Cool. So I want to reiterate on what you guys will be working on this week. If you guys want to work more on map views, if you are interested in like completing the tutorial, you can go on the code path, and it's on Unit 6. That was the lab for Unit 6. And if you want to do the bonus, you can, and you can do much more. So for example, replace the pin with like the actual image. So instead of seeing a pin, it'll show you an image instead. And this is what you can like do for like a, let's say that you're doing a bathroom reviewer app. You can replace the pins with bathrooms, with like the images of a bathroom tub. That'd be cool. Or let's say that you're doing like a tutor application and you want to know where the nearest tutor is located. You can change the pin, and instead of showing a pin, you can put that a little like stick figure of a tutor just walking around here or something. You can do so many things customizing this. And we didn't go into the information, but if you want to like allow the user to click on the information and show you details of that image, you can do that here as a bonus too. The tutorials go through it. I just wanted to go through the basis because the basics are always the hardest to go through. But once you get the basics and like you have someone explaining it to you, because they don't make videos for the labs, so the only resource that you have for labs is me. Once I show you how to do this, then it'll be easier to implement bonus stuff onto it, or even use it on your apps. This is how later on in your career, once you start working into a big company, this is all you do. You literally go through a tutorial, and then you implement that at the work, like at your at the workforce. That's how my friends at Salesforce do it. She interned there last year, and I asked her like, how do you go through the hard stuff? Like, don't you feel sometimes that you don't know how to do something? She's like, yeah, everyone does. So then how do you go through that? Well, thankfully companies pay for you to take classes or go through access like Coursera or Udemy. They're willing to give you money so that you can learn. And then once you learn it, then you apply it on your project that you're working on at the work. So what you're doing here is essentially what you're going to be doing at the workforce. You're constantly learning, and as you learn, you also implement that into your own work that you're working at. So now I'm just going to finish off today with what you guys are going to be working on. So make sure you have your groups, and please take the mid-course survey. Whoever hasn't done this needs to do it by this week, please. And for Unit 8, just make sure you guys submit the following. I know it's probably not up yet, but it will be up later on. So finalize your idea, create a GitHub, and make sure that it has the following information. Make sure it has these things, right? Your requirements, your optionals, and nice to have, app screens, navigation flows, and the team names, okay? All right, you guys are good to go. Whoever wants to know more about their grades, if you want to check up your grades with me, I'll be here. If you want to know more about being a teacher next quarter, I'll be here, and I'll give you some details about it. I'll be having a meeting for being a TPM for next quarter tomorrow after class. Questions?
I saw him in the block group.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Don't worry.
It's fine.
That's why I want you guys to put it on your GitHub.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it's fine.
Yeah.
And I also want to check on because I'm not sure. I think like the first few assignments I might submit.